Hello. So this is going to be our short modeling project. What we're going to be doing is you guys are going to be modeling a uh, basic coffee cup that I have downloaded a picture of off the internet. This is just an assessment for me to kind of get an idea of like how you're doing as a 3D modeler. Um, this shouldn't be a challenge for anyone that has taken the Intro to 3D class. This is just follow the picture, create as close to a replica of this coffee cup as you can, and um, use the things that you've learned from your Intro to 3D class to replicate this cup. Now, this cup does have to be as closely modeled to the picture. No other cups are allowed to be modeled, so it does have to be this particular cup. And it does need to be one contiguous, meaning one consistent piece of geometry. I'm also going to be looking for the presence of n-gons, um, as well as lamina faces and non-planar faces on the model. And those you should remember from Intro to 3D, but those are essentially going to be non n-gons are going to be any faces that have more than four sides or four vertexes, four corners. Um, the lamina faces are going to be faces that are basically like stuck on top of each other, laminated on top of each other. Um, and then there might be um, non-planar faces, meaning we have a face that's like folded in half, meaning it's not flat. So that's not good for modeling. So make sure we're avoiding that as well. And yeah, so we'll make sure we're just doing like good modeling for this cup. So just try to keep it as simple as possible. Another thing is I like to try to keep things as relatively um, low total, like low resolution as I need for this model. And you're also going to be taking this picture and using it as a reference. So you should remember how to get this in as a image plane, but if you don't, uh, with Maya open, let's go under, see, let's actually switch over to our front view. I'm going to go to View, Image Plane, Import Image, and I'm going to look for my picture. There it is. Okay. And I'm going to take that picture, put it right up here, and then we can go ahead and kind of start modeling. One thing I do want to do is just kind of pull that picture back a little bit so it's outside of my grid that I'm going to be modeling on top of. There was a little bit of a perspective shift on this model of the coffee cup, so I'm not going to be having that in the actual model itself. It's going to be just modeled just straight on, flat as possible. We'll go and start off with a cylinder. And I'm going to go over to shading, and I'm going to go through this kind of quick, but I'm going to show you kind of how I approach it. But I want to see how you guys can model this as well, because this is a pretty simple thing. And kind of looking at the proportions of the coffee cup. Use my multi-cut, drop that in using control, and bring that in. I'm going to grab the faces on the bottom. And we'll do extrude. And this is all stuff that can be found in your edit mesh and mesh tools, by the way, if you remember. Switch over to scale. Extrude again. Grab that. Grab that top lid. And bring that in, extrude down. I'm gonna try to keep like a consistent width throughout here. Alright, so that's like the general shape, right? But there's a lot more that goes into this because we need to smooth it out. And I'm not going to say just hit 3, like that's not appropriate. I know there's going to be a little bit of foot on the bottom of this. And when I say smooth it out, I'm talking about we're going to be adding in edge loops to kind of help build out the overall shape of the model. Get a little foot in there. Then like right here, I'm going to go over to bevel. By the way, I'm using my shift right click, control right click to access these menus. Kind of like that. And then I'm going to do this one too. That's probably a little bit too much. That looks pretty good. And we'll do a little bit of smoothing here. See how that's got like a nice soft lip to it. Something like that. There we go. And honestly, I kind of want to tighten this in a little bit. So I'm going to turn on soft select. And I want to kind of just bring it in just a little bit more. Something a little bit like that. Alright, so now we got to do the handle right here. Let's bring that up just a little bit. Yeah, it's not quite that sharp. Okay. So a couple ways we can do the handle, but I think you guys probably should remember the extrude along a curve method. So that is going to be I'm going to break this down to actually, you know what? No, I'm going to do another cube. Something like that. Now we can do the do a little EP curve. We'll do one right here, follow the curve of the handle. So grab the face, grab the curve for the handle, and I'm going to go to Edit Mesh, Extrude, and give it some extra divisions. It's flipping this, but I got the geometry that I need right here. So it's going to take that. Delete the history so I get rid of the curve. And then I'm going to take this and I'll say it's going to have to be, take out that, take out that. So these are flipped, that's why it's black on the outside. So I'm going to grab all of these, go to Mesh Display, Reverse, and then what I want to do is take this edge, and bridge. Okay, so we'll take a look at the handle. And we'll just kind of adjust it to kind of get it to fit a little bit better. That gives us the shape really fast, and it's pretty easy to work with. Kind of in there like that. And then I'm also probably going to get rid of that. That one. And probably get rid of that one in a second. Alright, so I'm going to go and throw a couple of cuts in here, just kind of help fill out that curve. And it's all just trying to get that curve of the handle, get that shape in here correctly. So I know I'm going fast, but I am assuming that you should remember some of the stuff you learned in the Intro to 3D class. So I just want to see how you do on this. Okay. So something like that. Now, if you look at this, that is not, it is a smooth handle, not a rough handle. All right, so let's go ahead and take that face on the end, cut that out. We've got the other one cut out. All right, so I want to go and take this edge and this edge. Okay, and I need to curve this around. I need to make it nice and round. So what I want to do is go and grab these corners. And I'm going to move them in. Okay, now me adding these edges here allows me to kind of round that out. See how we're doing that? It's important. So keep your eye on that. And then I want to take this edge and this edge. Bevel. And then I want to take multi-cut. And then I want to scale it up a little bit, scale it out a little bit. And that's just going to help me kind of round it out just a little bit. Probably a little too much. I'm just doing it to kind of support that shape. Okay. All right, so that's what I'm looking at. All right, so I'm going to take that out. Both of these, kind of spread them out a little bit, like that. Bring that up. kind of see how this kind of like melds into the surface, kind of like right around here. So that's what I'm kind of looking for. Kind of spread that out a little bit. I can bring that down. So we're just trying to get a little bit of that feeling in there. Okay, all right, so I want to kind of attach this in. So I'm going to go and take these four faces, and I'm going to go ahead and scale them in. I'm going to delete. I'm going to take these faces and scale them, delete them, and then extrude, and then scale these in too. Okay, so I'm basically making a little landing zone for the put another one right there. Okay, so make a little landing zone for the handle. Now these are two separate models, so I need to go to mesh and go to combine, and then I can start using tools like target weld. Let me use target weld to so I need to actually get these two up a little bit. I'm going to use target weld to essentially meld these pieces together. Okay, so I'm going to take vertex, target weld, weld that one, weld this one, weld that one, weld that one, weld that one, and weld that one. And then I have an extra one right here, so I'm gonna figure out what I want to do with that in a second. I'll take that over here, that over there, that over there. So let's go down to here, let's go down to here, go down to here, and then I've got two extras right here. Okay. So we got an extra here, two extras up here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use use my multi-cut tool. I should go across and up. Like that. That's going to leave me an end gun. But I'm going to take this corner. The end gun, by the way, is this shape. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sides. So that is an end gun. I'm going to take this one. And then I have this side as well. I need to figure out, so that's going to go over here. I think I may just wrap that one around. Okay, by the way, I'm deleting these edges by using control delete. So it actually deletes the vertexes too. So let's do this guy over here, 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 there, corner to corner. Across, something like that. Then we'll take vertex, go back to target weld, and weld everything together. I want to kind of round this out a little bit. So I'm going to take these two, kind of bring them in. So I'm just kind of rounding out that area right there. Pull these out just a little bit. Pull these out. And up. Okay. So we added in the handle without adding too many extra edge loops going around the entire model. If we take a look at the smooth view, you'll see that it melds in pretty well. I'm not seeing really any bad pulling anywhere. So yeah. All right, right down here, actually I do see a little bit of a pull. See where it kind of facets right there, and that's because we have a pole, which if you guys remember poles, this is where we're going to have like a bunch of triangles or a bunch of points coming off of a single vertex. So we do need to kind of fix that. So we'll delete that. Grab this, and I'm going to go down to fill hole. And I'm going to go over to multicut. And I'm just going to cut across and quad this out. And quadding it out means I'm going to give it all four-sided faces, at least as much as I can. And it's kind of like basket weaving. I'm going across one direction, going across another direction. And now everything is four-sided. Then you hit 3 and you see how it smooths really nicely. Now a couple things I want to add is going to be a reinforcement loops. There's going to be places where we want to have kind of like a harder edge on a few spots. If you look down there, you see a slightly harder edge right there. I'm going to add one here to kind of reinforce that angle. And then do the same thing here. Fill the hole and then quad that out as well. And it really does make a difference. I mean, it looks better just if you're looking at the model. And a lot of times you'll be, if you're, working in an industry like product visualization where you want to have up-close views of your products, this is going to be kind of important. You don't want your products looking kind of janky. Now, you're ever going to be looking inside of a coffee cup? I don't know. Maybe. Maybe not. But you want your models to look as damn good as they can be, so we'll make sure we do that. Alright, so we got that looking good. That's looking good. It's looking pretty sweet. Alright, so what we'll do, last thing we're going to do is go to Edit, delete all by type, history. You're going to name your coffee cup your name. And then you're going to take a screenshot with the coffee cup selected, with the picture in the background right here. Make sure it's set up as an image plane. Take a screenshot. You're going to include that as part of your submission. The other part of the submission is going to be the Maya binary file that you're going to be saving. So you'll save this out, and then you'll include this file as part of your submission. Okay.